Hello, I am Max, the boyfriend,
I'm Celie, the girlfriend.
and this is a girlfriend's glimpse where I make Celie watch things that she otherwise wouldn't. This week, we're going to be talking about season 1 of Umbrella Academy.
I like it a lot.
I am very surprised that you like it a lot. I kind of made you watch this because season 4 is incoming in the next couple months, I'm pretty sure. So I figured we'd try the first episode, and yeah, you were hooked pretty quickly. I think it's just because of this diverse cast of characters that we meet over I guess all in episode 1, but over the course of the season we get to really know them and just how messed up all of them are. I guess I should start. We'll introduce all of these 7 characters, but which one is your favorite?
My favorite character? Oh my gosh. Um,
While you think, I will just kind of give the overview of the show for anyone who hasn't seen it. I don't know why you're listening to this because we're going to spoil the heck out of it, but it is about a really rich guy, something Hargreaves. What is it? Reginald Hargreaves. And he finds out that 43 children were just conceived out of the blue for no reason at all, and they were all born on the same day, and they all had superpowers, and he was able to buy 7 of them, and these are their adventures, that 7. So of those 7, who would you say is your favorite, or at least like top 3?
top 3?
Yeah.
Okay, top 3 would be Klaus.
I knew he was going to be up there for you.
5.
Yes.
And Luther.
Yeah. I have a soft spot for Diego. I feel like you're either a Diego person or a Luther person.
I don't care for Diego as much, especially in the second season. The first season, he was more like relatable and human, but in the second season, he's kind of...
We're only like a few episodes into season 2, but he gets a lot of play in season 2. In fact, I won't spoil it, but I will say he has my favorite line, or one of my favorite lines in anything ever in season 2. But we'll cover that in a few weeks when we review it. So I guess I like Diego just for the simple fact that he's kind of Batman-esque. He's like a vigilante. He's in the shadows. He's a ninja, and he uses knives, and he can change their trajectory.
Trajectory.
Projector.
Trajectory, Max. Okay.
He's using a projector to change the trajectory.
Nope.
I can't talk now. It's all, every word sounds weird. Save me.
Anyway, I don't know. I guess Diego doesn't really remind me of Batman. He almost reminds me of like a wannabe hero because he can do some damage, but he is always so misguided and a little egotistical, and he has to be right, and he has to be the hero of the story, and most often all it does is cause a domino effect of really bad events.
Yeah, he got his ex kind of killed. I'm trying to remember the series of events that unfolded with, but he told her to play by his rules, and then she tried it for 1 second, and that got her killed. So yeah, technically he got her killed.
Well, kind of. She had the choice, and she didn't have a warrant, and she was educated and trained to know that you can't really do that.
Yeah.
The only defense that she would have had is that she heard commotion inside that room and had reason to believe that somebody was in danger in there, and then she could enter.
Yeah, but
she was killed, so she didn't get a chance to vouch for herself.
And Diego doesn't really have, like, he has that moment where he gets to, let out all of his emotion, and seeing her die, and
then
the
he moves on.
music's playing. Yeah, and I guess at the end of the season he gets he's fighting Mary J. Blige's character, Cha-Cha, and he's going to kill her, but then doesn't, even though I feel like he should have killed her. I don't know.
I didn't like Cha-Cha.
Really?
I understand her character and why she was the way she was, and I know that the way Hazel was he needed to have like a direct opposite.
Yeah, exactly.
Because and that's where Cha-Cha comes in, and then Cha-Cha's so like hard ass, and she's
pardon my French, but she's quite a bitch.
Well, she like I don't know if she was in love with Hazel or something.
So,
but she was very spiteful about him finding Agnes and finding love pettiness. And stuff. And she was kept referring to her as a whore and stuff like that. And I'm like, are you mad at him? Or are you mad that he has Agnes?
I didn't even think about that. And then when you pointed that out on this viewing for me,
it's because you're a guy and I'm a girl and I know better.
But I started to think like maybe
I think she had a thing for him because she was so mad.
She go through that much effort,
right? And why would she? And it seemed to. Before she knew that he was hooking up with Agnes and trying to elope or get away and go wherever with her, before then, she had a lot of reservation and sadness and remorse about the fact that she got a note saying kill Hazel.
Yeah.
And it terminate him. But then as soon as she saw that he was with Agnes and that's the whole thing, that's when she got ruthless, and that's when she got mad, and that's when she started being, to quote you, a bitch. So I think she had a thing for Hazel. She had a really like deep connection, and I don't know if it was romantic or if she just felt betrayed that she was being left behind from her partner, and
I think it must
she was
have been
moving
more
on.
The latter, but it's not definite. Like it could be the first. It could be romantic.
Well, even when they had the chance to kill each other, like these people have killed hundreds upon thousands of people, and when they were fighting, they didn't look like they were even fighting to kill each other. They were fighting to get even. They were fighting to fight because you didn't have really good ways of expressing themselves verbally, I guess, because it wouldn't work.
Everything about Hazel and Cha-Cha, and even the fact that we can have this conversation about them, I love, because, and again, we've seen a little bit into season 2, the assassins that we get in that have no dialogue whatsoever, and that is how Hazel and Cha-Cha,
so weird.
They're just freaking Swedes and they're brothers, I guess.
And they stand out like a sore thumb. They are not incognito.
And they're the milkmen. I love that. But anyway, the point I was getting to is that Hazel and Cha-Cha are like that in the comic, where, if I'm remembering right, and I could be wrong, but they don't have any dialogue at all. They're not characters. They're just silent assassins with the teddy bear masks.
It wasn't even teddy bear. It was like a weird squirrel.
And it was metal, I guess.
Well, it was a weird squirrel and a dog, but the only time that they looked metal was when they were wearing them and they held their shape. But as soon as they took them off, they like folded and crumpled like, latex. So that one I didn't understand. And I was like, I wish they had more continuity with that. I mean, I understand it was to make it easier for the actors to wear them so frequently and to see out of them and cost. But I wish they had continuity with that, because it threw me off every time. Like they would get shots fired and you hear pa-ding, pa-ding, like coming off there. And then they would take them off and it would crumple like cheap plastic.
For some reason, I'm fine with that. Like, I love Hazel and Cha-Cha's character, and this being a comic book universe, if you tell me that their masks are just bulletproof latex or whatever, or silicone, I believe it. Because, again, I have a suspension.
Well, I am not as convinced.
It's like you can give, in Batman v Superman, I don't necessarily like that movie, but Batman's suit is bulletproof.
Yeah, but that makes sense because he's Batman, and he has money to do that.
But it's also just a thin latex, but it works for me. It's just I accept it. And when they started folding their masks up and it folded at the back of their neck, I never really questioned it too much, or I guess as much.
I immediately questioned it. I was like, hang on,
what the heck?
You can't tell me they're bulletproof and make them sound like metal and hold their shape like that, and then take them off and they crumple to the ground like a cheap Spirit Halloween mask.
Nah, I buy it.
I don't buy it.
It's fine for me.
And also, how the hell has, what's her name? Oh my god, what is her name? Not the lady that's basically like the white-haired lady that is following them around and making the decisions, who got demoted. What's her name?
What?
What are you talking about?
Oh,
what's her
the
name?
handler?
Yeah,
I don't think she has a name. It's just the handler.
The handler.
Mhm.
What was I? How the hell has she survived everything?
I don't think she's human.
How did she survive a grenade like 2 feet away from her?
Mm-hmm.
How did she survive a bullet to the head? How did she survive that?
It can be explained that whenever she gets a life-threatening injury, she just heals it out, and then she time travels back to the point that she was, so that however much time it took for her to heal, it was just nothing. But
that doesn't make any sense,
like
because she would look a little effed up even if she did survive that, and all she had was like a scar on her face, and that wasn't even like sustained. It went away, and I was like,
and then she got a bullet to the dome.
And
then
the
she's
head.
fine.
And they were literally taking her to be incinerated and at the mortuary, and they were talking about it, and she just starts talking and blinking and goes, "Take me to the hospital." And I'm like, what?
I mean, it has happened in the real world quite a few times where someone gets shot through the brain and they're alive.
But that was like, that's not common.
Yeah, every time that I hear about a story like that happening,
and they
I'm like, bullshit,
also
that's not real.
They also called it. They said, "Oh, she did.
Yeah,
she gone." So I don't. They must have
fire.
taken vitals. They must have tried before they can claim that she's dead. But
I'm not going to say too much, but I will say this series, Umbrella Academy, does cover non-human things. So she could be non-human, whatever that may mean.
Yeah, but they don't explain that yet. But like, she's like an eternal being. She can't die, and no matter how many times. That's why I feel like that's why she's so reckless with, dangerous situations, is because she knows she's coming back.
I assumed that she was reckless just because she's existed out of time for so long, and she's a narcissist. But
she's definitely a narcissist.
Oh yeah,
and I also don't understand why she took a fish. I'm assuming it's to replace the fishbowl head guy that replaced her, and just like swap him out and have this like incompetent regular ass goldfish and put him in a bowl. And
we should have recorded this before we watched any of season 2, because those are questions that will be answered by the end of season 2.
Well, when we finish all the seasons, we'll come back and talk about it again.
Yeah. in a girlfriend's glimpse.
A girlfriend's glimpse.
But I feel like we're kind of forgetting some of the characters of the 7, or at least there's a bunch more that we need to talk about with them. So I could just run through them, and some of them they give the superhero name of in the show, but I can also give you the superhero name of that they have in the comic. Just
aren't they just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7?
Yes, but the mother, the robot. I was about
Grace.
to say robotic mother, but I don't even know.
Grace.
Yeah,
she's like a highly advanced AI.
I'm pretty sure she gave them the name, and she was like much more of a mother.
Yeah, because I was wondering how they got their like normal names, not numbers. Because I'm like, there ain't no way Mr. Hargreaves gave them names after he numbered them 1 through 7. There ain't no way.
Two craps about.
Yeah,
them.
I would assume that either they gave themselves names after a long time, or Grace did.
If I'm remembering right, and it's been years since I read the comic, but Grace gave them the names, and Grace. Another reason why I like Diego is because Diego used to have a lisp, and he was working on it a whole bunch with Grace, and that's why they have the really good bond. Or not a lisp, it's
stutter.
A stutter. That's what it was.
I was like, I don't think he had a lisp. I think it was just a stutter, because he would try to talk and then give up because he couldn't get it out.
And that does come back at really key points.
And she was a good mom, even though she wasn't like a human.
She's a better mom than some moms are.
I know, really, she's incredibly tolerant. I was laughing so hard when they like did a flashback when they were trying to find a nanny for 7.
Killing him.
And Vanya was just like, "You want to make me eat oatmeal? All right, I'll make you eat glass, bitch." She threw it through the windows. And then she tried to throw Grace and got all twisted up, and she stood up, turned her head 180 degrees back around, and just smiled at her and said, "Let's eat.
It's time for oatmeal."
And she goes,
"Okay.
All right, I guess it's fine." What are you? Oh, but
I don't know how
Poor Vanya.
Yeah, I don't know how Grace was made, but yeah. Before we talk about Vanya, because there's so much to talk about with Vanya, I want to get through all of them. There's number 1, Luther, whose name is Space Boy. And yeah, he spent some time on the moon for no reason at all, which is fun.
He needed a sense of purpose, and Dad forgot to destroy the shit, and that he actually... God, if I were to send him up to the moon, I mean, he can't be that busy. He could have at least faked it and categorized it when he would return.
I'm just assuming...
And not be a jerk about it.
Reginald just didn't care enough to put that effort in.
I would have at least faked some sort of research categorization for him.
Tell Pogo.
Or tell Pogo to do it, or tell Grace to do it. Even like she's a robot, she has to do what you say, right? Like, just tell her like, I don't know, we'll figure out a way to make this look like we're actually using this. That he's sending it back so that he doesn't come back, see that, and go, like he did, and have an emotional breakdown. Because he was stuck on the moon for 4 years alone.
And he's such an innocent guy.
He's such a sweet boy.
He does some things that are not so innocent later in the season. But overall, he's just the most naive person ever.
He just wants love.
As do we all. But he really wants it. Because he's just...
That poor dude.
For his sister. We'll get to.
They're not technically related, though. I mean, but it's still weird because they grew up as siblings. So
the fact that you have to point it out
makes
it weird.
Yeah.
And they even say that in the show, but we haven't got to that point yet.
Yes.
And number 2, we've talked a lot about him, is Diego. His superhero name is the Kraken. Which...
How is that? Wouldn't it make more sense for Ben to be the Kraken? He has tentacles.
Though it's never come up in this show. I really hope it comes up in the final season because...
They could call him Eagle Eye.
Well, I'm not sure. It's one or the other. He can either hold his breath indefinitely or he can breathe underwater. But again, that's never come up in the show.
I wish it would. That would be cool.
That
would make Diego a lot cooler.
It's even just use it as a party trick. Dunk your head in a fish tank and be like, look, I'm breathing. I don't know how.
Okay, maybe that's what you would do.
Yeah, that's how I would try to use that as a party trick, and immediately everyone would leave because they'd either be freaked out or just think I'm dumb.
Or just go, this boy is strange. No.
Oh, yeah. Then next on, we have number 3, Allison, or the Rumor. Who can...
That makes sense.
Like, obviously, we'll get down to the bottom, some of the most powerful beings ever, but Allison has some real power that they never capitalize on.
No, she could literally end every single problem that the world has with just saying, I heard a rumor, and she would just fix it. She would just fix it.
Like, I wonder what exactly would happen if she said, I heard a rumor that there was no more world hunger. Like, would it actually happen?
I think she has to use it on a specific person when she's saying it.
That would make sense.
Because otherwise, she would be more powerful than anybody.
But again, just the fact that she can change reality to anyone.
There was one thing that you said when we were... Oh. Yeah, we were so mad because there was there was somebody in there that was just a horrible person, and she just said, it was the cop that came in to arrest Ray.
It was a racist bigot.
Yeah, and he came in, barging in and going, "We got a problem here. You're coming with me." And she could have said so many things, and she just didn't use her power and just let it happen. But you're like, she should have just said, I heard a rumor you have to hold in your shit for the rest of your life. And I was like, God, that is horrid.
Imagine?
He would just die within 2 weeks? I don't know. I don't know how long it takes for you to fill up with shit. I don't know.
There was just a whole bunch of racist bigots on screen for the past minute before I said that, and I was thinking for solid minute.
I wish you always had an itch somewhere on your body that you couldn't scratch.
Exactly. I was thinking of the worst possible thing that she could say to someone while still keeping them alive. And hold it in your shit for the rest of your life. That was just... anything that she
until
could say.
somebody says a keyword and it all just lets out.
Oh God.
And you're just like, here it comes.
it would kill that person.
Ah!
I wish that she went further with her power just for the sake of she can change reality. Anything she says is now truth.
Well, I mean, because I think it applies specifically to people's behavior and actions, and she has to say it to a specific person in order for something to happen. Like, I don't think she could just say something out loud to nobody and have it work because there's nobody to influence.
She also ruined her relationship with her husband and her daughter by using her power, so I don't know if she wants to really stretch what she can do.
Right, but the only reason she lost respect for it is because she was using it to be a lazy parent.
Yeah.
She was using it to avoid the harder parts, like when her daughter was fussy or clingy or something, she would say, I heard a rumor that you wanted to sleep. I heard a rumor that you would stop crying. Like,
if I had that power and I was in that position,
no, you got to put in the effort.
I might.
You got to put in. That's well. She got lazy with it, and she started using it in a not so kosher way. She just started being a lazy parent, and it was not helpful. It was helpful in the moment and convenient for her, but in the long run, it was not helpful. And her husband was like,
what the hell
no,
are you doing?
like you can't do that to her.
There was even a scene where they're just kind of flashing a bunch of rumors that she might have done, or maybe she did actually do them. And one of them was, I'm pretty sure it was to her daughter. And it was, I heard a rumor that you loved me. And
or something like that. And I was like, maybe you should stop using your powers on her. And that might be why, but I don't really know if these are the people aware that she influenced them after they've completed the task she told them to do? Are they aware of it? Because then that would mean that her husband got mad at her because of her powers, but her daughter hasn't had whatever issue with her, but she had no idea about the powers that she was using on her.
I'm sure it's a very complicated scenario where the daughter, I think her name is Claire, thinks that her dad's the bad guy, even though her dad is protecting her.
Well, was she saying, I heard a rumor that you said you loved me or loved me? Was that saying it to him or to her daughter?
It might have been to him. We don't know.
Because it doesn't say anything in particular like that. I mean, a lot of them were toward her daughter when she was just acting out or being inconvenient to her. But But we don't know.
It could have been anything.
Yeah, because I don't know why she would have said that to her daughter, because then the relationship with the daughter wouldn't have been ruined inherently because of the powers that she was using, because she wouldn't know it. It would have to be something else she's doing, like being absent, being non-patient, being unloving or uninvolved. Like, I would assume, unless Dad was talking shit. I don't know. Saying your mom uses her superpower on you to make you less of a shit. I don't know.
It's just a messed up situation overall, which is just really good writing.
Yeah.
Like, I
With
liked
great
all
power
the stuff.
comes great responsibility.
Yes, of course. As soon as you involve a power like hers, it gets messy.
I mean, I'd use the power, duh. Yeah. But I don't know if I would let myself, go against my morals and values and go against what is inherently right behavior just because it's convenient. Well, and it would take discipline, because it's easy enough to say, I heard a rumor that blah, blah, blah. Like, it's easy enough to say that. But
yeah. And what I was about to say was, as soon as you start messing in that gray area, then you go further and further into it, because you're changing reality. You're making new truths. Why wouldn't what you're doing be right? Like, theoretically it should be, because whatever you say is reality. It's
cray-cray.
It's not good.
But next, number 4, Klaus.
The Seance. That superhero name never comes up because it's not great.
No, I would have called him Ghost Whisperer.
Yeah, or just Ghost Boy. Keep the theme of blank boy.
Casper.
I love Klaus. He's
awesome.
obviously the most fun to watch on screen.
And also pretty unhinged.
Oh yeah, he's very crazy. And there's reason to be crazy. He was locked in a mausoleum or something.
Yeah, like to get over his fear of seeing the dead.
Or even just to get in tune with his power.
I think his extreme use of exposure therapy was very unhelpful.
Yeah.
Because positive reinforcement is statistically proven to be a lot better at modifying behavior than terrifying the shit out of your kids.
I guess Reginald just hadn't heard about that.
Or he was so scientific or so, stuck in that business mindset that he just didn't consider other alternatives to that.
Yeah.
I mean, he probably was just like, well, he looked at them as subjects a lot of the time.
And, I mean, they were numbers to him.
Yeah, he literally numbered them 1 through 7. But the only time that I saw him have any kind of a deeper connection is with 7.
Yeah.
Because she was essentially a prodigy, but she was too young to understand the extent of her power, and she kept hurting people and doing bad things. So he kept trying to, accommodate, and instead of immediately throwing her in the dungeon and immediately like doing something like he would to the others, he tried to make her more comfortable, and he tried to work with her and make her feel a little bit better, but just comparatively to how he treated the others, like he essentially abused the rest. And he ended up abusing Vanya, but he had almost a remorse about it. Like, he didn't want to resort to what he did, but she was too dangerous.
I have no evidence behind this, but I think that was just because Vanya picked up the violin, which had a lot of significance to him.
Sentimental value. Yeah.
And we'll get into it more as we talk about Vanya, and even we'll probably talk about that opening of the finale where it's Hargreaves and he's in some weird room with a lady and she's dying.
I think that was Grace, the original one, right?
I don't think so. I don't even
then why
remember
would he
who it was.
If that was the lady that he had sentimental value attached to, why would he base the AI off of Grace and not her?
I don't.
Because they aged and she was his date to that whatever.
Yeah,
so
Grace
why
was a real person.
Yeah, so I could only assume that was Grace as an older person, and she was probably, very sick, which made her look different too. But
I'll say that scene was a flashback.
Yeah.
Like before real Grace was ever a thing. I'm pretty sure.
Really? I don't know. Well, whoever it was had to be very sentimental.
With the information that I have now, that's what I'm saying. I could be wrong though. And it could be Grace.
Because otherwise, I don't know why he would base the AI mom off of Grace if it were somebody else. Like, why would you?
I think that is explained somewhere in season 2. I just don't remember because it's been years since I've seen it. But next up, we have. Well, I guess have we talked about Klaus enough? Because what's there to say? He's always communicating.
Except for the fact that
Ben.
He started a cult.
Yeah. Well, that's season 2. That's the best thing that his character has done is start a cult.
And then he gets annoyed with it because they won't leave him alone because they're like, oh my God, it's you. And he's like, oh my God, just stop.
The prophet.
I bet he regretted that.
Before we move on to 5, I will say there's a wonderful scene with Klaus where they're trying to get information on an eye. And he's like, well, I mean, you hit me, didn't you? And then he hits 5 and then he
smashes a snow globe on his head.
Yeah. And he's like, and you beat the shit out of us.
That was unhinged, but awesome.
It's fantastic.
And the guy's sitting there going, what
do I do?
Yeah. Oh God, that
5
was funny.
Klaus is so much fun to watch. But
he
5, whose name is just 5.
And he's an old man trapped in a little boy. Why is he 5? Why is he only 5? Like,
because he never got a name.
Why?
Because I'm assuming that they were named later in their like teenage years, and 5 never, like, he left when he was 10 to 12, and his superhero name is the Boy, which fits because he's just a boy.
Well, I would have called him something like Void because
That's
you
a
know,
good name. Isn't that The Incredibles too?
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, her name is Void too, but
that works.
But it would make sense, Void. Like,
Mhm. Yeah, and he has really good control over jumping in space, but whenever he tries to travel in time,
something always gets fucked up.
Yeah.
Something always happens.
First time he traveled through time, he did it kind of okay, but
yeah, and
randomly a couple times.
And he kept going, and then he kind of exhausted his power and didn't quite understand it, didn't have it quite, under his control, and then he accidentally bippity-boppity-booed himself into the apocalyptic future and got stuck for 40 years alone, talking to a mannequin he named Dolores.
And that was his true love.
I
couldn't
but
imagine.
even when he thought that everything was resolved and he put her back in the department store, he acknowledged that she was a mannequin.
Yeah.
So he knew that she wasn't really real.
I think pure coping mechanism, something snapped inside.
Oh God. Well, if you're alone, right, like humans are social creatures.
Yeah.
Being completely in solitude for any extended period of time is going to have a lot of effects on you.
The biggest
I'm surprised he's not as fucked up from that.
Well, and one thing that I like about him is that, well, first off, the child actor does a really good job.
He does.
Because he always feels like he's the one in charge.
Yep, and he definitely gives off the vibe, I'm a 58-year-old man in this body.
Mm-hmm.
Because especially
him, and I love that.
Yeah, especially his mannerisms. He's really good at looking like he's an old man and a little boy.
And I've kind of caught on, especially as I've rewatched this.
Caught on.
I've cotton with cotton.
No.
No, but after rewatching this series a bunch of times, I've caught on to how many little things that the actor does. Like he moves his ears a bunch when he talks, or he smiles a whole bunch, just with this really annoyed smile that he has, and he talks like this. And he does it all the time, and I don't know how he does it so well. It's perfect.
I know, he's always irritated. He's always annoyed at everything, and he has to have coffee.
Yes,
all the
he's
time.
Always looking for a fresh pot of coffee, which I get. I like coffee too.
I love that they kept Five as a teenage boy and didn't like address anything to try and correct that and make him look his age again. They just kind of kept it that way, and I actually like that. I think it's cool. There's
even a line where the handler is like, hey, if you do this thing for me, I'll get you your old body. And he seems interested in that, but...
Why would you be? You have all the knowledge and experience, but you get to live
you have
another life.
Yeah, you have a second chance.
And this time, you don't have to spend 40 years of it alone in
an apocalypse.
Eating cockroaches and old Twinkies.
I don't know. But yeah, again, just his ruthlessness, and he's even worse in the comic where he's still a family man in the show. Like he genuinely cares about his family, and especially Vanya. I love their relationship, Five and Vanya, but he doesn't care about anything in the comic, which this is a rare thing where I think the show might be better than the comic, which is saying a lot because I don't even know if the show is that incredible. I really like it, and it's quirky and fun, but it's nothing to, put on the refrigerator to show mount. I ruined that. It's nothing.
That's what you get for trying to be quippy.
It's nothing to put on the refrigerator to show mom, is what I was trying to say.
Oh.
Anyway, next up we have number 6, Ben or the Horror.
They still never said how he died.
I don't think they ever do.
That's so sad. Why?
I don't know. It's just a mystery.
I want to know how he died.
It was a horrible accident. And that's all they say about it. And he was very young when he died.
Well, he was, I would say he was about like 20.
No, the vision of Ben that we see from Klaus, that was him aged in real time, because I'm pretty sure he died when he was like a little bit after 5 disappeared. So when he was like 10 or 12.
Oh, I see.
Which is very sad. There's a plane flying overhead. Can you guys hear that? Probably not.
Especially if you're talking over it. No. But Ben, I think Ben is a really good outlet for Klaus.
Yes.
Because Klaus has a lot of problems. Like, in his manifest in drugs and alcohol. And Ben almost is like his conscience, like this Jiminy Cricket.
I'm really glad that
keeps him on
Klaus,
his shoulder.
Yeah, he has a Ben because it is his voice on the shoulder.
And Ben's like, "Will you stop that? That's not going to help." And he actually punched him, and then they figured out that he can actually interact with ghosts.
And they tried to play patty cake at the end of an episode. It was great.
And they're like, "Klaus, just shut up. We know you're doing this for attention." He's like, "No, I swear to God, you guys, I can actually do this."
I'm gonna throw this bowling ball, and Ben is gonna catch it.
And they're all watching, happens. And then
just hits the ground. Yeah, Ben. I think his power is that he opens up a dimensional portal in his chest
to Cthulhu.
Yeah, to like some tentacle monster, and tentacles fly out.
Are you sure that doesn't just like live inside him?
I'm pretty sure it's a dimensional portal. Actually.
Well, why does it come out of his chest? Is that why it seems like it hurts him whenever he does it, because he always yells and goes, "Ah!"
I'm pretty sure it is like tearing open his chest every time, but
ouchies.
I could be wrong.
He's also screaming in pain while he's a ghost and dead, and I'm like, come on. You're already out of this game, okay? Come on.
But we do love
the
Ben.
horror.
The horror.
The horror.
Oh, the horror, the humanity. Up next, we have number 7, Vanya, or the White Violin. She is, like we talked about how
I don't know about
Allison,
that superhero name.
I like it. The White Violin. I mean, it's the villain, you know?
The White Violin. Yeah, but it's just like that, that's an object. White Violin. I'm like,
it's an object with
it's
an
not
adjective.
Intimidating.
Yeah,
right. She has extremely intimidating powers, and that is not an intimidating name.
In concept, just the way that
White Beauty. No.
Yeah, or something like that. But we talked about how Allison is really powerful because she can change reality.
Yeah, but Rumor is a cool name.
Yeah,
like that's
Rumor's
cool.
a really cool name,
and it makes sense.
And probably
the White Violin, like when you walk in, they go, "What?" Like that's not intimidating. That's not scary.
And I think her power has something to do with she can turn sound into energy, but that means that she can basically do anything that the writers want her to.
She basically just has telekinesis.
Yeah, but really, really powerful telekinesis.
Right?
Like when she was getting angry, she made it rain, and she bent the light poles around the street.
Right. Like she's very powerful, but hence why I don't think the White Violin is suitable. That's just describing one of her instruments that she uses. It's just
because she's really... I was about to say she's really white, the actress is, but
Phantom
the
of the Opera
she gets is really white in the end. But I mean, I said actress. It's actor.
Elliot.
Yeah, sorry about that. But we'll get to all of that because at this moment, Vanya is the White Violin, and
I don't know what I would call her.
I'm not sure. I wouldn't change it. I like White Violin.
If she'd sound, you could call her Echo.
But that's a Marvel thing that just came out.
Okay, well, Echo is still a word. Marvel doesn't own the name.
They probably do. They probably have it trademarked.
They don't own the word. Yeah, trademarked like She-Hulk. Gets her name taken from her for a stupid cosmetics line.
We still haven't reviewed that. We got to do that.
Oh, right.
She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, we're here to talk about Umbrella Academy because I don't know if there's much else to say about Vanya other than there is the just whole fact that she was being drugged and she was being lied to, and
anti-anxiety medications, they're helping you.
No. And it was revealed that Allison, the rumor, said that I heard a rumor that you thought that you were ordinary, and that's why her whole life she's just felt down.
When she's, in fact, the most powerful being amongst them.
And it was all for everyone's safety, so that if she forgot her powers and was kept sedated. But, yeah, she's very angry about that. And there's even the there's 2 episodes which take place over the same day. The day that was, or the day that never was, and then the day that was is I think the title of those episodes. But I really like that because pretty much everything is revealed, where Vanya sees Leonard's journal of her dad's that he's kept.
He did not serve as important of a purpose and sustained as long as I thought he was going to. He was just kind of a little weakling.
You know what I really like about this first season is that there's this whole mystery, especially behind this fake eye that 5 is trying to uncover. And I'm sure that it's because in a previous timeline, Leonard and Vanya teamed up and fought the Umbrella Academy, and that's how Luther got the eye. But this is a different timeline where completely different things are happening. So the mystery that 5 is trying to solve isn't real at all, or it's not the exact series of events that actually happens.
Because he interfered in it this time. Just
by existing there, he creates another timeline. Yeah.
I also don't know why Luther would go for a fake eye to pull out in an apocalypse and why it ended up in his fingertips.
I don't know.
I don't really understand that. I don't know why he would have done that, but...
Also, that scene where we're seeing all of the dead bodies of the Umbrella Academy, or 5 is seeing them. I wish that they went a bit further with the budgeting. I can get into like VFX
because they're just buried in rubble, and I'm like... For a team of superhumans,
you don't want to.
You would probably want to see more of something like the Invincible, where they're just strewn,
or maybe I don't know, a piece of rebar in one of them, and that's why they died. But no, they're just lying.
They're just lying there, like, oh, I got hit with a rock.
Someone threw a brick at my head.
Someone threw a rock at me.
Get over it. Kevin McAllister does it all the time.
Oh, jeez.
But with all of the numbering of all the characters, I do have the initial question, and this is one of the mysteries that you get thrown into and you start thinking about. But what order are they in?
They have to be 1 is least powerful to 7 is most powerful, but the only thing that throws me off of that is Allison. Yeah. Because she is arguably a lot more powerful than... say Ben.
I think
if Ben and her switched places, I think it would make sense for that.
Ben is pretty powerful though. Like he can kill a room full of people just by opening up his chest.
Yeah, but he also died.
Yeah, that is true. But we don't know the circumstances of his death other than it was an accident.
I wish they would have said that though.
They have to get to it, right?
They have to mention why that happened. Somebody has to ask the question like, oh yeah, how'd your brother die?
Last season's coming out soon. They will explain it in that. I guarantee it.
Well, I would assume that it makes sense. I just thought Allison would be like higher up on the power chain because she's essentially like one of the most powerful of all of them, like a top 3 at least.
Potentially.
I mean, and 5 is powerful in the sense that he can literally alter timelines because he can travel through time and space.
And Klaus is powerful because he can literally bring back the dead and have them affect the real world.
Is there any... This is a stretch. This is a real stretch. And there's 7 of them, and it wouldn't make sense because there's 6 Infinity Stones. But would any of them relate to the Infinity Stones? Because I would say that Ben would be the time... No. I mean, 5 would be the Time Stone. Klaus would be the Soul Stone. Allison would be the Reality Stone. And I would say that Vanya would be the Mind Stone.
I guess. I mean, Umbrella Academy, I'm pretty sure, is Image Comics, which is separate from Marvel, But
I'm just making a real big leap connection, and there's 7 of them, so it still doesn't make any sense. Yeah. But I guess Ben and Klaus would be kind of like a duo one because Ben is dead and he just follows Klaus.
Yeah,
everywhere.
I guess so. It works. Nah. But I would say the order, and I like the idea of 7 being the most powerful, 1 being the least. But I always assumed that the order was number 1 is the most controllable to 7 is the least controllable.
That could be it. But I would say Diego is kind of spontaneous a lot because he acts out a lot. So I don't think he would be as controllable.
And again, he started naming them as babies, so there would be no way of knowing this. But making Diego number 2 would be a good ego check for him. Just to be like, hey, you're the right-hand man, so you still have room for your ego.
Or maybe it's just the order in which he acquired them.
That is probably it, because I guarantee you.
Also, here's
Reginald
a
didn't
question
put that
I have
much
for
thought
you.
into it.
If, however many there were that were born on that day, and he only got 7 of them, where are the other ones, and what powers do they have, and what are they doing?
That's another massive mystery in this show. There's how many other superpowered people in this universe that we just don't see?
Superpowered people.
Superpowered people? That sounds like a song. Make it like a dubstep song.
Superpowered people.
Someone put a track over that. I don't know.
Make it into a song.
But yeah, I don't want to spoil too much, but we will see some of them. But there's dozens and dozens of other superpowers.
I would love to see a spin-off series of, like, maybe not necessarily all 7 of them, but like just like 3 of them are on a quest to go and find the others.
You know,
and seek out the rest of them. For what reason I wouldn't know, but it would probably be an end of the world scenario again.
Yes.
But to seek them out, just to like explore who's out there, what powers they are, try and track them down, because they know their birthday.
Yeah.
They don't know where.
I mean, there are other kids born on that same day, like Leonard, which is why he hates them so much, because he tried to be part of them. What's his real name? Harold? Harold Jenkins.
Henry Jenkins, right?
No, I'm pretty sure it's Harold, just because it's a dumb name.
Why'd he pick Leonard Peabody after that either?
It's
because that's
really dumb name.
Why would you pick that? You could have picked like Angelo. No. Or
I don't know, something.
Rex. No. I don't know. Or a superhero name.
Yeah.
Or you could just rip one off and be like, my name's Bruce Banner.
My name's Bruce Wayne.
I'm Toby Stark.
Anyway, another person in this family unit that we haven't really talked about is Pogo.
Oh,
I love Pogo. He's a very odd choice to put in the show, especially since I'm sure every time he's on screen, I don't even want to think about how much money they're spending, but he looks good and I love seeing him.
He's like the old wise man that just lives there and knows that he looks like him.
Yeah, I showed Celie a picture of the actor that plays Pogo, and
he does look like Pogo.
For those of you who've seen it, it's the guy who tries to give Walter White a bunch of money in Breaking Bad, but then Walter White doesn't accept it. But he looks like, this sounds bad, he looks like a monkey.
Just a little. Just a little bit.
It's the ears, I'm telling you. There's something about it. But yeah, I love Pogo.
Yeah, he was a great character. And I understand why he kept those things a secret from them, but you don't want to get on the bad side of, say, 7?
No.
Vanya. You don't want to get on their bad side, because we see what happens when you do, and it's lights out.
For some reason, I'd still be more afraid of being on the bad side of Hargraves, even though
because he has an arsenal.
Yeah, he can do something.
In death, I know he's gonna slap my ass around. I know it when I die. He's gonna be right there going, "What did I say? You see my foot tapping? You know what that means? Oh,
means
George."
I will also say that the VFX in this show are overall really, really good. Like, it's not quite movie quality, but it's a step above normal TV. Though sometimes the special effects do get a little bit CW. And what I mean by that is there's a bunch of superhero shows on a network of television called the CW. I don't know what it stands for, but they have like the Flash and Arrow and bunch of other stuff, and their special effects aren't bad, but they get pretty bad at times.
Prestige worldwide.
Yes. And yeah, the VFX sometimes don't hold up, but I feel like, it works. Was there any moment that stood out to you as good or bad, whether it be Pogo or a robot mom?
I'm not sure. I'm trying to think of any that would have like emotionally impacted me in some way. And the only one that I could think of that would have been more emotional for me, or an emotional impact, is when Diego de-circuited Grace and shut her down. Because she was apparently like short-circuiting and failing in her software or whatever was happening, hardware. I don't know.
I guess she was like getting old or something. I don't know.
I don't know how that would work. I mean, you can just do basic maintenance on her probably, right?
But I think it was Hargraves that did that maintenance, and he was dead. So I think that was
Wouldn't
the logic
Pogo
there.
have known?
Surely Pogo would have known.
Because he's been there for a long time.
We're getting sidetracked because Diego was
Mm-hmm.
cutting the circus to the mom.
I think that would have been harder because he genuinely like saw her as a parental figure. He saw her as mom.
Yeah.
And he was essentially trying to do her a kindness. I think he was trying to put her out of her misery a little bit because she was just kind of stuck there. And Mr. Hargreaves was gone, and she really was like serving no purpose anymore, and she was starting to show her wear and tear.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know why he did it, but then Pogo brought her back. Fixed her.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah. I can't think of too much else to say about the Umbrella Academy Season 1. Other than, out of 5 brownie points, what would you give this first season?
I would say 3.75.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Uh-huh.
That's a good rating. It's more than I thought I would have gotten from this, because I kind of just made you watch it because the finale, or the final season, was coming soon, and I figured we'd get into this.
I like it a lot. It's not one of the ones that I would always necessarily choose over something else, to watch, but I like it enough to sustain my attention.
Exactly. I'm always interested in it when I'm watching it. I don't really think about it when I'm not. It's not my favorite. I don't hate it, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, that has been a girlfriend's glimpse into the Umbrella Academy Season 1.
Dun dun dun!